And we are live. I apologize for the technical difficulties that we're just having. For some reason, my audio wasn't being picked up, and now I'm using a different source in order for us to do this interview. Um, so right now we have an Army veteran, non-citizen, currently on the phone with us, and he's going to tell us his story of surviving as a non-citizen here in the United States. For his protection, we are just going to call him Veteran E, just to keep it as simple as possible, to keep him anonymous and to keep him safe, because it's top priority. We understand that we do have to identify non-citizens that are living here in the United States, and then also non-citizens that are deported, deported veterans. My bad, excuse me. But let's get started with this interview once again. If you wouldn't mind, let's begin with how you ended up coming into the United States.
Okay. Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank you again, Dee, for having me here for this interview, and for all those listeners out there that are supporting us deported veterans. So I guess my story began in 1983. That's when we first got here to the United States as a family. Um, my mom was the first person in the family to migrate to the United States back in 1979, and then my dad followed in 1980. At the time, the reason why we left the country is because my dad was in the military. He was in the Salvadoran military, and during the time there was a civil war going on. Especially in the part of the country where we lived, there was you couldn't trust anybody. I mean, in the same neighborhood that we lived in, there was soldiers that lived in the neighborhood, and also you had guerrillas that lived in the same neighborhood. Um, the guerrillas had a lot of informants that would tell them who the soldiers were in the neighborhood. So I guess my dad felt very insecure. It got really complicated for him, and eventually he had to flee the country in 1980. Fortunately for him, when he got here, he got the refugee status because he was I assume because he was a soldier, he was an active soldier, and so. But that wasn't the case for my mom. She stayed living in the country for a very long time after that, after moving to this country. So yeah, I was 10 years old when I got here. Um, it was hard for me to move to a new country. I really don't really remember anything at all. I know for sure that I didn't know what was going on. I just remember that I lived in a third world country, and all of a sudden I was living in the United States. Um, and that transition was kind of hard for me because when we moved to the United States, we moved to the ghetto, to a poor neighborhood, and it was hard for me, and I know it was hard for my younger sister and for my younger brother because we couldn't speak the language. Um, the place we moved to, it was predominantly African Americans that lived there. So, they really didn't know how to deal with us at first. It was really rough living back in 1983 in that neighborhood because there was no Latinos around. We were the only Hispanic family that lived there, and I couldn't speak the language. And we as a family went through tough times living there, and it was hard for me. It was really, really hard for me. I got bullied a lot. I remember remember in the school bus, they messed with my sister, they messed with my brother, and they messed with me in the school bus. It was hard. It was hard for at least 3 years of my life. But after that, I got older. I started learning the language, and I managed to get by.
So if you don't mind, where did you guys come in through Mexico? Like, how did you guys end up coming through? Because I know you said that you don't really remember much. So what port of
Yeah,
entry did you guys come through, if you don't mind me asking?
I remember that we came through. Yeah, I remember that we took a bus from El Salvador, from the capital, and we must have been on the bus for like I don't know, like 2 or 3 weeks, and then after that, we took a boat ride. It was a big boat, and it took us out there in the ocean because I remember seeing dolphins, um, and from there we might have been in the ocean for like maybe 5 6 hours, and then we landed. I guess we must have arrived at one because from there they put us in a pickup truck and they just told us to lay down. And most of basically everyone that was in the back of the pickup truck were just children. I remember seeing my brother there. I remember seeing my sister, myself, and some other kids. And then I guess it took more than just 45 minutes to cross over to the other side because I remember when they told us to get out, I remember seeing a big McDonald's sign. I didn't know what it was, but they took us to McDonald's to eat, I guess, and we went through Mexico, and then we landed in San Diego. I remember someone told me that we were in San Diego, so yeah.
So now that you came in at 10 years old, you had a hard time, barriers, so on and so forth. You're, having to adapt, having to assimilate to a new environment, to the United States. So I'm guessing you were educated in the United States from the age of 10 to, so you left for the military?
Yes, yeah, I've been here. I went through elementary school here, middle school, high school. Um, I did some college here, and yeah, basically my whole life I've been here. So,
So at what age, so let me ask you this, why did you join the military?
um, I don't know how to say this very. There's a number of things why I joined the military first. When I was in high school, since we came from a poor background, you know, my mom had 2 jobs at the time. My dad had also 2 jobs. My older brothers and sisters, some of them got married, moved away, and the ones that were still at that, living with my parents, they were working hard, and it was hard for us to really how to put this. It was hard for us to really have a chance to make it here in America. Um, so I remember in high school, a lot of my friends would say, I'm going to Virginia Tech, I'm going to UVA, James Madison, all these big schools. MIT, some other people say, I'm joining the Army, I'm joining the Navy. And I remember that there were 14-year-olds, freshmen. They already knew what they were going to do, what college they were going to go when they graduated. And I didn't have any goal. I knew I was going to go anywhere after high school. They had no money for college. I knew we could get assistance. So, but I remember seeing a recruiter outside my gym, and every time I went by, she she would tell me, hey, you thought of enlisting in the army after high school. And at first, I really didn't pay attention. But then when I got closer and closer to graduating, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to go to college. So I knew that my way out of here, my way of me finding a better life for myself, was going to be through the army, and that's what I did.
So at the time that they joined the military, what was your status? Were you a legal permanent resident, or because
Oh
I've
yeah,
know of cases
I was a
where
permanent resident.
you are a legal permanent resident?
Yes, at the time, yes.
So that's one thing that the military does tend to recruit, especially nowadays. It tends to recruit starting as early as high school because now they have programs like ROTC, and it
Yeah,
is a way to move up in the social ladder economic wise, right? And especially
right.
if you don't have, the grades or the the athleticism to go and get these scholarships for these universities. And it's still something that's sold today that the way to pay for college, the way not to be in debt with college is to join the military with your GI Bill, with all these other programs that they have. Last time I talked to a friend of mine, she said that they were giving recruiters were giving up to about 120,000 bonus for new recruits.
Okay, can I? I'm sorry to cut you off, Dee, but can I touch on that subject a little bit? Can I tell my experience, what happened to me a little bit?
Go for it. No,
Getting with that recruiter.
go for it. Please do.
Okay, basically, I guess for I don't know if there's young people listening to me. I would advise them to, before they even join any branch at all, if they have a brother that was in the military, or if they had a friend or their grandparent, anyone, I would advise them to talk to them first before joining, because there was no, even though my dad was in the military in El Salvador, he had no experience dealing with the military here, or he had no idea how the military worked in the United States, and I had no idea. So when the recruiter finally convinced me of coming to her office and see what the army and what's all about, I went there, and I remember that she told me I needed to take the ASVAB test. I didn't know what that was. And she said, "Oh, it's just a test. You're gonna see a little bit of English, a little bit of math, and on the score, that's where we're gonna put you in." I still didn't understand what that was, so I took the test. The first time I took it, I failed the test completely. She told me to go to our library and get the ASVAB test book and study it. I did that. And the second time that I went and took the test, I passed it. So she was very happy for me at the time. I was happy for me at the time. She said, "You passed it. So what do you want to do now?" And I said, "Well, what are you going to offer me?" She said, "You know what? You don't have a lot of job opportunities. So she said you can either do like a mechanic, would you like to work with tanks?" And I said, "No, not really. What else do you have?" She says, "You want to be a cook?" I said, "I really don't know how to cook." And she said, "Well, do you want to be in the infantry?" And then I said, "Actually, what is that?" And she said, she said, "How can I explain this to you?" She says, "Do you like camping?" I'm like, "Yeah, I like camping." And the thing is that when I first got to this country, I remember that my aunt and her husband used to take us to this place fishing, and they would have a tent, and they would have a bonfire, and we would fish all weekend. And that's what came to mind when she said, "Do you like camping?"
All right, hold on, time out. So they're saying, so the recruiter pretty much told you Army infantry is as easy as going outside and pitching a tent. Is that what you're telling me?
That's exactly what she told me. And these were her exact words. Do you like camping? And I said, yeah, I love camping.
Wow, that's a new one for me. I've heard some stories of what recruiters will do, but that's a new one for me. Um, keep going.
It gets even better. So she said, okay. She said, okay, we'll sign here, and then we're gonna have to send you to Maryland to do your physical test, and then if you pass it, you're in. And then I said, wait, hold on. And I said, can I ask for something? She said, sure. I said, well, okay. Mind this, I didn't know anything about the Army. I didn't know anything how it works. I just, I was just going by what I heard in the commercials and what she was telling me. So I said, okay, I like to go to boot camp here, in Virginia, the state where I'm at. I guess I'm sure I'm not I can say that, but And then she said, yeah, sure. And then I said, not only that, but I also want to be stationed here. So I don't want to be, I don't want to move away. I don't want to be too far from my parents, especially my mom. And she said, sure, you can get stationed here in Virginia. Then I said, okay. And she said, okay, fine. So sign here. So I signed the papers, and then I'm sitting there. She went off to go do something, and then she came back and she goes, there's a little bit, there's a problem. And I said, what is it? She says, you won't be able to go to boot camp here in Virginia because it's all booked, and you would have to go to Atlanta, Georgia. You would have to go to Georgia, she said. And then I said, Georgia? I said, yes. She says you would have to go to Fort Benning. And then I said, okay, that's fine. I'll go to Atlanta, but I want to be stationed here in Virginia, okay? She says, fine. Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, they misled you when you had straight out asked, "I want to stay home. I want to be close to my family. I want to stay home. I'm a family oriented individual. I want to stay as close as possible to my family." And they said yes. Then they decided to send you from local to Georgia. And then
I think there's, I'm not sure, but I don't think there's an infantry boot camp or infantry base here in Virginia. and I think they already knew that. She already knew that. So she was lying through her teeth. She was just trying to get a soldier to sign. And which I was gonna, I was intrigued. I wanted to be part of the Army or the armed forces, but later on in life, when I got orders to go to Hawaii, that's when I found out she was lying to me this whole time.
Wow.
I went to Maryland. I took the test. I passed it, and they told me, you're going to start boot camp in January. But from now on, you're getting a paycheck. You're getting money in your account. And I remember telling my mom that. I got home happy, and I said, Mom, I took the test, the physical test. I passed it. They say from this point on, I will be seeing money in my bank account. And I remember my mom reminded me of this every year of our life. She always said, oh, remember when they told you that you were going to get paid? And because my mom's response was like, no one's going to give you any money for free. And I'm like, Mom, trust me, they're paying me. So then in January came along, and I got shipped to Fort Benning, Georgia. From there, I graduated. I went through boot camp, and I want to say this, Steve. There's some stuff that happened to me in Fort Benning, Georgia. Because when I was in Fort Benning, Georgia. You know when almost at the end of boot camp. I don't know. Some people might have it at the beginning of boot camp. Some people have it in the middle of boot camp. But I remember I had it almost at the boot camp where they put the soldiers on a big circle, and then they get the pimple sticks out, and then you battle each other. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
I think I've seen videos.
Okay, so they put me a helmet on, and they had me battling this other kid from Peru, big heavy set guy. So it was, it was in January. It was cold, and they give you these hockey gloves so you can hold on to the stick. But my hands are so small, and the hockey gloves were so thick that every time the kid hit me, I would drop the stick. So what I did was I took off my gloves and I just grabbed the stick with my bare hands. And I was, battling with this kid, and he was kept hitting me in my hands. My hands were blue and purple, and they were cold. And when everything was done and over, I remember going up to the drill sergeant and asking him if I could please go to the bathroom, because I really wanted to use the bathroom. But I really didn't want to use the bathroom. What happened was that the kid hit me so hard on my right hand that he dislocated two of my knuckles. And my hand was killing me. So I got permission to go to the bathroom. I went to the bathroom and I checked my hand out, and my hand was killing me. And that's one thing that I want to point out, that I went through, basic training was almost over, but I graduated and I went through basic training with a broken hand.
So this was in what year, if you don't mind me asking?
My two knuckles are dislocated. So I got that. I graduated, and I remember that one day before we got a 17-day leave to go back to the state that you came from. I remember that my drill sergeant called me to his office. I went inside the office, and he told me, you getting orders to go to Hawaii. I was shocked, I was mad, I was angry, because I remember that the recruiter had told me that I was going to get stationed in Virginia.
So you went.
She even said, you're going to station at Fort Belvoir, Virginia.
So you went from, I want to stay close, I want to stay home, I want to be near my house, my family and everything, to Georgia, and then finally your first duty station in Hawaii?
Hawaii. Which is like the locals in Hawaii would say, Hawaii. So, I was angry, and I told my drill sergeant, I think there's been a mistake. I'm not supposed to go to Hawaii. I'm supposed to go to Virginia. And the drill sergeant said, you know what? If the order say you're going to Hawaii, you're going to Hawaii.
That's a military for you.
He said, you're lucky you're not getting the 1 year hardship tour to go to Korea. And I'm like, Korea? I do not want to go to Korea. And so, I said, okay. So I left the office. I was very angry, sad at the same time. But I was also happy that I graduated. I also was happy that I was, going to go back home and see my parents, see my whole family, see my friends. So after that, when I landed in Hawaii, I don't know if I can touch on this a little bit more. When I got to Hawaii, I noticed that a lot of soldiers that got there, they were buying brand new bikes, brand new cars. So I was asking them, hey man, where did you get the money from? And then, a lot of them told me, I got a $30,000 bonus, a $20,000 bonus. Some people got $10,000 bonus. And come to find out that I was the only one in the whole company that didn't get a bonus at all. And the recruiter didn't even have the decency to tell me that. I'm sure she would have worked her way out where I could get a $10,000 bonus.
Okay, now that we're moving forward to this, so how many years did you do in the military?
I served 3 years and a few months because in boot camp I got moved back. I think 2 weeks because I had to pull my boilers out. So it was roughly around 3 years and 2 months, 3 months maybe.
So what's your discharge, your military discharge? What does it say on your DD-214?
It says that I'm honorable discharge.
Anytime while you were in the military, did they ever assist you to become a citizen? Did anybody talk to you about that? Did anybody try to navigate you through the process of becoming a citizen? Anything like that?
Since I came here when I was 10, and when I got my green card, I didn't find out until way later on in life that a green card is nothing but a visa. But I thought, since it said, permanent residency, that I just thought that, that was like being a citizen. So when I spoke to the recruiter, she kind of validated that because I asked her that question and she told me, she says basically you're a citizen, and she said the only thing is you can't vote, but you're a citizen. And then she said, I remember her telling me that when I get to Fort Benning, I was going to go under oath. And she said, when I take that oath, and that's exactly what she said, when you take that oath, you're basically, it's a done deal. You're a citizen. That's what she said to me. So, needless to say, when I got in trouble and I had these immigration agents come to me and, they say they want to speak to me, and I'm like, you don't want to speak to me. I'm not illegal here. And they were like, oh, no, this is what happens. And they told me the whole thing, how Clinton in 1996 or 7 or 8, he signed this deal where, all permanent residents, people with the green card, whoever, committed a minor crime or any kind of crime, they can get deported. So that's when I found out that I wasn't a citizen. And that's when I found out that the green card was just a visa.
So you got deported all the way to El Salvador. Nobody walked you through the process. Nobody told you how to become a citizen while you were in the military. You made a mistake. You served your time, and then right away, nobody said that there's.
I guess I have to tell you, when I was in Hawaii, I remember that one of my sergeants, I really don't remember who exactly, but someone was really listening. And I remember the ceremony took place at the Pearl Harbor Memorial, and the whole platoon went, and I remember being there. And after the ceremony, I had another sergeant approach me, and he said to me, "So, son, are you going to give me 3 more years?" And I said, "I'm not sure," because at the time, when I was in Hawaii, I had a brother that was going through, I don't know if I can say it, going through AIDS. And I find out by the Red Cross that my brother had been infected with AIDS, and he was, in his last stage. So I was pondering what to do. I'm like, should I re-enlist again, or should I just go back home and being with my brother. And so when that sergeant came to me and, he tapped me on the shoulder, he says, so son, are you going to give me 3 more years? And I said, Sergeant, I really don't know what to do. And of course, he knew about my brother. And then he said to me, it really didn't sink in at the time. He said to me, if you give me 3 more years, I'm going to help you with your citizenship. And that kind of really threw me off because I'm thinking, you're going to help me with my citizenship? Like, yeah. I have a recruiter that just told me 3 years ago that basically if I took that oath, I was a citizen.
This was in what year?
So I was confused, but because of the ceremony where it was held at Pearl Harbor Memorial, there's a lot of people there. I really didn't ask him more. I really didn't. I was just like, what?
Well, no, because how old were you when you joined the military?
I was, I would say 21, 22 years old.
So you're still young, right? You're still young. You don't know about the process. You don't know how to navigate the process. You don't know what questions to ask.
I was a very gullible kid because because in El Salvador we really, because of the Civil War, I really got to the age of 10 and I didn't know what a ocean looked like. I didn't know what a movie theater was. For the first 10 years of my life, we were just, the only thing we knew was school and home. And we would walk to school and it wasn't that far. It was like a 20-minute walk. And that's all I knew for 10 years. Bullets. I remember I was 7. I was going to the store and I saw 2 strangled informants, I guess, on the street. I saw dead people very young age. So for the first 10 years of my life, it was just school and home. I really didn't know anything. And then when we got to the United States, it was basically the same thing. We would take the school bus, we would take us to school, and then we'd come back. We really didn't have, I really didn't have that freedom like a normal kid. And I don't want to say this. I don't want to make, my parents weren't bad parents. They were great parents. They worked hard for us, for a better future for us. But because we didn't have because we were poor, basically. Because we were poor, we didn't have the money or the needs or the transportation to go places, to go here, there, the ocean. So I was a very gullible kid. Very, very gullible kid. And I got, my first beer wasn't until I was 21 and a half years old. I wasn't even a drinker as a teenager. My first beer was when I was 21 and a half years old. So I was a nice kid. I did my homework, I did everything. So basically, if someone told me something, I believed it. And that's how I was until I was 22 years old.
Now let's move forward to the part where you get deported.
Right.
You ended up serving your time. You ended up just getting picked up and put into immigration detention, or did you just get picked up from jail and just get sent where?
I think that after, I think 6 months after my incarceration was over, 2 immigration agents came and they came to see me, and I was shocked. I think that they made a mistake. I was like, you guys are not coming to see me. I'm here illegally. And they were like, no, we're coming to see you, and this is what's going on. And they knew, by the expression on the face, they knew that I was shocked. I wasn't lying. I could just see their faces, and they're thinking, this guy really doesn't know that he's going to get deported. So they told me, I'm sorry, man, but my job is to just come inform you that you're going to come in a few weeks. You're going to see an immigration officer, and he's going to decide whether you stay or you go.
Now,
and I said, okay, fine.
So that immigration officers, you go in front of the immigration officer, you tell them that you're a veteran, that you served in the military. Did they assist you at all? Did they tell you anything? Did they even say thank you for your service, but you're gone? Like,
no. I got I think it was a month later or 2 months later. I really don't, not sure. Maybe 3 months later, but it was close to the time of getting out. They called me to this room, and there was a big TV monitor there, and I could see a judge sitting there, an immigration judge. He wasn't really an officer, so he was a judge. And there was two chairs, and in one of the chairs there was this guy from the Dominican Republic. He wasn't a soldier at all, so I was sitting right next to him, and when I sat down, the judge was doing his case, and I remember that when I sat down, the last words the judge said to him was like, "You're banned for life." And then, another officer came and gave him some papers. He signed the deportation, and he got elected. So, and then it was my turn. And he said to me, I reviewed your case, and he said a whole bunch of other things that I can't really remember. And then he said, you're banned for, I'm not really sure if it was, I always assumed that I was banned only for 10 years, but later on they told me that it was 15 to 20 years. But I guess he must have said you were banned for 20 years. So I asked him, wait a minute. I said, I'm a veteran. I remember he told him, I'm a veteran. And he tells me, I'm sorry, but it's not my decision. I'm not allowed. Something about he can't do anything about that. That, he's required just to look at me as another, I guess, illegal alien, and I committed a crime, and so you gotta go. Basically, that's what he said. Because I really can't remember by verbatim every word he said, but basically that's what he was telling me, that me being in the army didn't count.
So it didn't count. You having served, raised your hand, taken the oath, pretty much died for this country. Having lived here since the age of 10, they didn't matter to them. They didn't. They said it was out of their hands, and you're leaving.
Sorry, I don't want to get emotional in this interview, but when he told me that, I felt like my whole family was here in the United States. In Saturday, I knew I was an American. I'm American made, and for him to tell me that he couldn't do anything about it, he was just telling me he didn't care. He just didn't care at all. And that really hurt me. I was in shock. I was really shocked, and at the same time, I was angry because I just felt like everything that I was told in the army, you would never leave a veteran behind. You never leave another soldier behind. And I kept that promise. I kept that philosophy in my mind. Even when I was in third grade, I remember when I came here, I didn't know no English, and I remember at the time, it was an obligation for students to do the Pledge of Allegiance, and sometimes it was my turn for me to say it, and I only knew the first 6 words, and after that I didn't know the rest, and then the students would get up and help me out with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I did that for 4 years of my life when I was a child. I know my brothers did the same thing, I really thought I was an American. Here I was with my right hand up over my heart, over my chest, saying the Pledge of Allegiance of the United States of America, and and then at the end, in front of that judge, none of that mattered. It didn't matter that I was here, that I was 10. It didn't matter that I was in the military. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. To him, I was just another illegal alien. And that's that. And a lot of things came into my head. I remember when I was doing a training in Japan, and we got a chance to go see the city of Sapporo. The training happened in the island of Hokkaido, in the northern part of Japan. And I remember a group of maybe 5 or 6 soldiers were out there, sightseeing, seeing the beautiful city of Sapporo. And there's this group of drunk Japanese guys looking us straight in my eyes because they knew we were American soldiers. And he looked at me straight in my eyes and he said, "Fuck you, American. Fuck you." And to that Japanese guy, I was an American soldier. I represented America. All of a sudden, these judges tell me I'm not an American. So it's like an oxymoron. It's like, I'm an American while I'm serving the country, but I committed a crime. I'm no longer an American. I didn't come here. I didn't come here when I was 10. I just felt abandoned. I just felt I was, you get hurt. I felt abandoned. I just felt like everything was a lie. Everything, don't leave a soldier behind. It was all a lie. At the time, it seems to me like no one cared. And that was very hurtful to me. It was painful.
So tell me,
it still hurts.
And I'm sorry about that. And you're right. There should never be a veteran ever left behind. That's one thing that you learn whenever you're in the military is always take care of your fellow soldier. Everybody took the same oath. So tell me.
I just can't believe that I kept my part of the deal, but the government or whatever, the army is not doing their part. They broke that oath. Because they're leaving me behind, and not only me, they're leaving a whole bunch of other soldiers behind. People from all over the world. Africa, South America, the Caribbean, El Salvador.
You're right. You're right. But you're not alone. We're going to keep fighting this. But one thing I do want to touch on, and I know this is probably going to be the hardest part of the conversation of this interview, is you as a deported veteran to El Salvador. Tell me about that. Tell me about that experience.
Let me just go back to that judge. They gave me the papers. I signed the deportation. I bounced around from different states. I went from Philly to Houston to Louisiana back to Texas, and then back to Louisiana, then boom, to El Salvador. When I got there, I only had a brown bag with a pen inside and a pen, and I had a whole bunch of telephone numbers of people that I've met in immigration, people that could help me out because I knew that I was coming to a country there where I didn't have no family. I don't know anyone. I got to El Salvador. The process took about an hour and a half, and I came out of the terminal, I guess. It's not even the terminal. It's another building adjacent to the airport. So when you come out of that building, the people that are actually at the airport outside, they can see that you are deported veteran. And then that's a taboo in El Salvador. They don't want they didn't know exactly the time they didn't know the date that I was going to be arriving at El Salvador. So what they did is like they bought a plane ticket, both of them, and they flew to El Salvador, and they waited for me to call them once I got to El Salvador. So I got to El Salvador the 1st of May, which was Labor Day in El Salvador. I called my parents, and my dad and his friend came to pick me up at the airport. I still had my prison clothes on. I didn't get a chance to change. And from San Salvador to where I live is the 3-hour drive. So I got home, and my first impression was like, this is the opposite of what I know. I mean, my whole world just went upside down. It was just like, it seemed to me like I was in a different planet. I was just like, well, and the culture was different, and everything, the way how I think was different. Even the way I was, spoke Spanish was different. And a lot of people pick on that. And because of that, a lot of people didn't speak to me for a long time.
Okay, so you go to your country that you were born in. You don't have anybody there. Your family has to meet you at the airport. You are already seen as I'm guessing as a criminal, as somebody who doesn't belong there.
That's exactly what they thought.
So what happened?
Exactly, I'm sorry.
What happened made you come back to the United States? How did you end up back in the United States?
Um, when I got back to El Salvador, I really spoke to my mom, and my mom was a very wise woman. She passed away 2 years ago. Actually, yesterday, October 6th, was the second year anniversary that she left this world. And my mom told me, you're here now. You know how to survive. If there is anyone in the family that knows how to make it, it's you. And she said, since you're here already, find yourself a good woman, have some kids, and make the best of it. And that's exactly what I was thinking when I got to El Salvador. I'm here. I'm not gonna quit. I'm gonna stay here, and I'm gonna be successful in this country. I speak the language, and I'm gonna make it. So I enrolled myself in college. I wanted, be a veterinarian. I wanted to study business, but someone at the school told me, that why don't you become an English teacher? I mean, you can become a translator, right, interpreter, and that's good in a country that you can teach a lot of people here English, and then you can make yourself money. You can work on the side. You can work for a school or for a university after you graduate. So I ended up doing that. I said, okay, college is way different in Central America than it is in the United States. Over here, you get a 4-year degree, but over there, it's like a 5-6 year degree. But that 5-year degree turns out to be like a 6-7 year degree. I was in college for 6-7 years, and I never failed a class, but it took that long. And I graduated. My parents came. A lot of my sisters and family members came. They flew from the United States to El Salvador, to congratulate me. They were happy that I was doing something with my life. But I got to El Salvador in 2008, and from 2008 to 2012, I basically did the same things that I was doing as a child that I just went to school and came home. I didn't speak to I didn't have any friends in the neighborhood, so I was just doing what I needed to do. Now, a lot of people might say, "Why were you doing that?" When I got to El Salvador, at the time, El Salvador was the capital murder of the world. And I remember Honduras was second. So when I got to El Salvador, we needed to be careful who you spoke to, who you hung out with, because I witnessed a lot of things. I witnessed homicides. I witnessed extortion. I witnessed a lot of things, and I just knew that if I was going to survive in this country, if you're going to have friends, stick to yourself. And that's what I did for 4 years of my life when I first got to El Salvador. And then I think in 2013, that's when the problem started. I only had 2 more years left of school. And I remember that, some guy put a SIM card in an envelope with a note and tossed it under my door. And when I came back home from school, that's the first thing. When I opened the door, that's the first thing I saw. I saw the envelope. And I opened it, and it said, take your SIM card out from your phone, put the SIM card in, give us a call. If you don't, you'll regret it. I gave him a call, and he was gang members. I could tell he was them because the way how they speak is very. They have their own accent. They have their own language, and once you know that they're talking to you, you know they're a gang member. So they told me they wanted the money from me. They wanted $20 every Friday, and if I didn't pay, that was it. Basically, I was paying $20 a week every Friday just to stay alive. And if there's a lot of family members listening to this live, and I know to most of them, it's going to be the first time they ever hear that. Because I never told anyone. I kept a lot of things to myself.
So all this whole time that you overcame, you straight out said, once you got deported to El Salvador, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna survive one way or another. I'm gonna make it here. I'm in a country that I haven't been to since I was 10. A different culture, totally. My family is not here. Totally separated from my family, and the only options, because I know English, because I was pretty much raised in the United States, is as a translator, as a teacher, and you overcame all of that. So this is what has pushed you to come back to the United States was the whole, again, the situation of El Salvador, of pretty much being a target now for money. Is that what I'm understanding here?
Yes, but it got more complicated than that. I can't really get very specific on this matter unless at that time. I know El Salvador has changed a lot from what it was in 2008 or 2015. That year, 2015, I think more than 5,000 people got murdered in El Salvador. I remember that I would be in school, and sometimes I would have to go to class on Saturdays, and I would read a newspaper, and I would read that there were 60 homicides last weekend, or 80 homicides the weekend after that. It was hard on me process the whole thing, but like I said, I don't want to be too specific because part of me, I'm still afraid that some people might hear this and um, it's a touchy subject. I want to stay away from it as much as I can, but I will say a few things that happened to me. For instance, once the word got out in my neighborhood that I was a soldier, they didn't really even care if I was an American soldier, if I had served in the American military. The people in my neighborhood didn't really care about that. They only knew that I was a soldier. And to these people, to these type of people that were extorting me now for money, they didn't care what type of soldier I was or where I served. All that mattered to them that I was a soldier and I needed to be dealt with.
So how did they find that out? Was it because of how you dress, because of how you look, your mannerism, the way you talk?
I knew that once I got to El Salvador, I knew that I couldn't wear Nikes or Adidas shoes, or you know how we dress here in America, kind of with the Nikes and the Adidas, or you wear jeans shorts, and you look at Kevin, you know what I mean? And that's normal here in America. Or to wear like a NBA jersey or a football jersey. In El Salvador, at the time you had to be very careful what type of color shoes you were wearing, what kind of shoes you were wearing. You couldn't wear no NBA jerseys or football jerseys or hockey jerseys. I found that out quickly in El Salvador. You couldn't even wear your hat out backwards at the time. So I took my hat off, I took my shoes off, and I started wearing my NBA jerseys and my football jerseys. So I told my mom that if she ever was going to send me shoes, they have to be neutral colors, like gray or white. And if she sent me t-shirts or dress-up shirts, they would also have to be neutral colors. So basically, the whole time I was in El Salvador, I wore flip-flops. No one ever saw me wear shoes. So very seldom I wear shoes, only flip-flops. And you know what? At the university where I was going to, I'm gonna say this in Spanish, so I don't know if you're gonna understand me, but they had a nickname for me because every time I wore flip-flops, and people in Central America, they dress up nice to go to university. It's not like here in America where you can wear your pajamas to your classroom. Not there. So I would wear shorts, my flip-flops, comfortable, it's a hot country. Common sense will tell you wear less. But Salvadorians in a hot country, they will wear more. And I just didn't get that. So they would call me Indio Batarrajada at the university.
Okay, so if I understand, Indio is indigenous, right?
Right.
And then Tapalahara?
Batarrajada, yeah. Like, when you wear flip-flops all the time, that your ankle you can see cracks on your ankles. Your skin kind of gets dry because of the weather, and then you start seeing cracks on the back of your ankles.
So kind of a derogatory term, right? You were kind of given a derogatory, yeah.
So, and I was going to college at the time, and my GPA at the time in school was 3.0, 3.5. I think it was 3.8, something like that. In El Salvador, we're very, very smart kid in school. I never missed classes at all. Always sat in front of everyone, and even the dean of the college would tell me, you can't come to school like that. You gotta, pick yourself up. Dress up, wear a tie, a dress-up shirt, a blazer. And I was thinking, no, man, dude, it's a lot here. I can't be doing that. And they even threatened to kick me out of college because of that, but that's a different story. But going back to what was going on in my neighborhood, that same group of people called me one day. They started asking me questions like, we need your help. We want you to cooperate with us. So basically what they wanted is for me how to teach him how to fire the weapon, an M16, how to clean it, how to maintain it, um, teaching the parts of the N16, um, teaching them, everything that there is to know how to shoot accurately at M16. Basically, that's what they wanted from me. And that really scared the hell out of me because at the time I was like, I'm done. I either gotta do this or I'm dead. I remember that I started losing my hair. I couldn't, I couldn't, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep. But luckily, my grades never dropped. My grades never dropped. I remember one time my sister called me from the United States, called me, and I was in class, and my sister said, Sergio, get out of class right now because I just got some information that some people are going to come to the school right now to kidnap you. Get out. I just jumped out of the desk and left. He said anything to no one. And my best friend at the time, my friend in school there, he said, "What's going on?" And I said, "Hey man, can you come with me? Can you accompany me to my house? Something might happen to me." He said, "Sure." He got in a taxi with me and I went home. Like nothing happened to me. But um, I had friends that I knew people. I really did have friends. I just knew people that they had a brother that was a gang member. They knew a cousin, or uncle that was in prison. He was a gang member. I can help you out if you help me out with this, I can help you out. So that's how you know I started navigating through things, and because I knew some people, they eventually backed off. They eventually just left me alone for a while. But they were persistent. They only lasted like a few months, and then would come back. They want you. I want you to go to this mountain, and I want you to teach us how to shoot here.
So what was the final straw? What was the last straw? What was the I can't do this anymore. I need to go back to the United States. That's where I belong. Um, like where is it that your life was in so much danger that you decided to come back?
Yeah, it was a lot of things that happened at the same time. I saw a guy got killed in my neighborhood. Um, then a friend of mine got killed, got shot 14 times in front of his house. He was going to work and he got shot. And that was like 3 houses away from me. Um, I got the sense that it was really, really getting bad. And it was getting bad for the Salvadorians inside that country, and it was getting bad for me being a soldier. I knew it was going to get bad for me quickly. And I knew that I needed to go somewhere. First, I thought of going to Costa Rica. And another thing at that time, my mom was going through cancer too. She had, we didn't know at the time, but she had brain cancer. And that's another thing that was weighing on me. I'm like, I can't stay here. I want to see my mom again. I don't have much time left. I gotta see my mom again. And I knew that if I would have stayed in the country, it would have been devastating to me not seeing my mom alive one more time. So that and what else was going on, how crazy was getting, Salvador, and how these people just kept threatening me just for being a soldier. I just, said, you know what, I'm just going to graduate. And I met a beautiful woman in college. Um, she ended up getting her green card, and when she she got to the United States, she said to me, I can help you. I can provide, I can pay for the trip, but you need to get out now. And I said, yes, that was like, she saved me. She helped me get out of that hell, that frying pan. I guess I felt like I was frying. I was getting, I was fixing it. I was getting, like the song says, killing me softly. I was just dying slowly and surely. I needed to get out. And I'm glad I did it because 2015, the year that I left, that year was a very chaotic year. Like I said, more than 500 people got killed that year. And El
So,
Salvador was the capital murder of the world. That year and the following year.
so not only was it the government in the country that you were born in, you were a target because you served in the United States military. Your family's not there now. This heavy weight of being separated from your family, your mom being sick, wanting to return to her before anything else further happens. So how did you ended up back in the United States? Was it again the same kind of trip that you took when you were like 10 years old, where it
The
was
same trip, but it was even worse. Because when I was 10, I remember that I guess back in the day, back in the early 80s, late 70s, getting across the United States was much easier than it was now. And me being a 10-year-old back then, it was much easier. Now I'm an adult, and it was a hard trip. And I know a lot of people are probably asking themselves, "Hey man, how come you didn't go to the police and tell it, man?" Um, if you never lived in, if you never ever lived in a third world country, or especially in El Salvador at the time in Central America, doing that, reporting, I can't remember to the authorities, to the police in El Salvador, no, you're you're practically a dead person because a lot of police members, a lot of their brothers, their nephews were in the gang. So you will tell a police officer, you will write a report, they will pass it down to their nephews, and their nephews will pass it down to the leader, and the next thing you know, you're a dead person outside your house. You didn't trust no one in El Salvador at the time. You couldn't go to the police. You couldn't tell anyone. Because if you told the wrong person what happened, you're gonna be a dead person. So the way I did things, I kept things to myself. And when I left the country, I knew that the trip was gonna be hard. And when I took that trip, it was hard. It was the hardest thing I ever done in my life. That trip is no joke. If you ever want to take that trip, I don't want to take that trip again. Indeed, I barely made it. I was left behind. I can't.
So tell me, like, what exactly was the path? Did you have to get on a train? Did you have to cross through certain countries? Did you have to pay individuals, or your significant other have to pay individuals? Like, tell me about that process.
Okay, these people, they have connections everywhere. So they moved me from one part of El Salvador to another part of El Salvador. And then from there, they moved me to Guatemala. And then from Guatemala, I was in Guatemala for like 2 weeks. And once you were in Guatemala for 2 weeks, these people are telling you we need money. And then you're telling them, I already gave you some money when I left. And we need money because without the money, you can't eat and we can't move you out here. So they extort you for money there. So you ended up giving them money. So they moved me from Guatemala to Chiapas, Mexico. And then there they keep you for like 2 more weeks. And then they tell you the same story. And basically, really, you're walking this whole time. I mean, a lot of times, yeah, they move you from here from point A to point B in a car or in a bus. But most of the time, you're walking everywhere. You're walking for 3 days, 4 days at a time. And that was very hard on me because hello,
I'm right here. I'm still listening.
okay, that was very hard on me because I wasn't physically fit at the time, and when I took the trip, I asked questions. I'm like, are you gonna, I can't walk, man. I'm overweight. And they were telling me, oh, don't worry, you're not gonna walk at all. You might walk maybe one day, just one day. Come on. And I wasn't at all. I was walking everywhere, and I was overweight, and I just barely made it. I barely made it. They were moving you from point A to point B. Sometimes inside a bus, inside of a truck, or most of the time it was like walking over 2 or 3 mountains, staying in the middle of nowhere, in a I don't want to call it a rancho, but it looked like a farmhouse, but in the middle of nowhere. We would stay there for 2 days, and then 3 days, sometimes a week, and then we move on again.
So, how long did this
So
trip take from the time that you left from your area from El Salvador to the other, crossing through all these countries to Mexico, getting to the port of entry at the United States? How many days was that?
about a month and a half, maybe a little bit more, or around that time. It felt like a very long time.
So
Yeah.
that whole trip must have been dangerous, horrible, scary. Um, Continuing to have to pay these individuals that were bringing you over. You come to the United States, you get here to the United States, and then what happens? Living in the shadows, you don't have an ID, you don't, coming here, coming back to the country that you served.
Yeah. Uh, I consider myself an American, and I love this country. I don't regret serving this country, especially I don't regret serving with my fellow friends and my fellow soldiers. Um, I was glad that I was coming back. To me, it was home. I was glad that I was coming home, but at the same time, I knew that um, this to me, it would be like a golden cage to me. It's like I knew that I could do a lot of things that I used to do when I had my status, my legal status, and I knew it was going to be difficult for me. But then, I kind of outweighed my pros and cons, and I knew, well, if you come back to the United States, at least you will be alive. If you stay back, you might be alive for now, but consider yourself a dead person. So it wasn't a no brainer for me. I needed to come back, and when I came back, it felt good. It felt like I never left. It felt, a lot of our friends that that were illegal to in this country would tell me, oh, I had a hard time. Like, it's hard for me to get assimilated to this culture, get acclimated to everything here. But since I grew up in this country, to me it was like, hey, it's like I never left.
So it's like coming home, right? It's a
Yeah.
country that you were raised in. It's a country that you served. You know. So what are so my biggest thing and the one thing that I want to tell anybody that's currently listening to this story, to your story, is identifying who you are, telling your story, telling the difficulties and the barriers, and this is about not being left behind, right? It's about moving forward because from what you told me, you have your significant other, you have children, you know, you have family here, and if you get deported, it's pretty much going back to the situation of life and death, back to a country that you don't know. You might have been born in it, but you don't know anything about it.
Um, I guess like, I would like to ask these the people, our fellow veterans and the people listening to me right now. here, I would have to ask them, being an American, what does that mean? I mean, do you have to be born here to be an American? And the answer to that is no, you don't have to be born here to be an American. But for the longest time, I felt like, inside of me, I felt like I was an American, but everyone in the outside, including the institution that I probably served, telling me that I'm not an American. And I have two beautiful daughters now that I have to provide for. And the reason is because I'm here, I'm live, I'm here, is because I don't want to live in the shadows anymore. Because I know that by helping myself, I'm not doing this for me alone anymore. I'm doing it for my kids. I want my kids to have a better future. I know that if I stay in the shadows, psychologically, when my kids get older, I would have to tell them the truth. Why am I living in the shadows? And I don't want to mess them up psychologically. I don't want them to be bullied at school because, your dad doesn't talk. How come your dad doesn't talk? How come we only see your mom dropping you off? How come your dad doesn't come here to pick you up? Oh, you probably don't have a dad. And not only that, my daughters are everything to me. I love kids. I don't know if you have kids, but anyone that have kids know what I'm talking about. It's not we as parents, we're no longer alive because of us. We're alive because of them. And as a parent, you want to give the best to your kids. I want to give everything, the best there is to my daughters. And in the situation that I'm at right now, I can't do nothing at all. Nothing at all. Nothing. And even when they were born in the hospital, I couldn't even sign my name of the fear that someone in the institution, the hospital institution, was going to tell the government, hey, there's this guy here who was reported that he's back. Look, so I couldn't even sign my daughter's birth certificate. And I know that someday I would have to explain that to my kid. So, speaking to you, Dee, the other day, a few weeks back or whatever it was, I know you felt my pain. And a day after that, when I told you what I was going through, I just felt 100 times better than I did the day before. Just by me telling you that what I was going through, that kind of helped me. And then you helped me. I spoke to my girlfriend about it, and she supported me. She said, "You know what? You need to do this. Do the interview. Help yourself." And I'm doing this not only for me. I'm doing this for my reported veterans. I'm doing this for my kids. I want them to have a better life. And I know there's a lot of people out there might say, "Oh, why you better apply? Why?" Most of the soldiers have been reported. We grew up in this country. We helped make this country. I was 10 years old when I came here. And just because I wasn't born here, I'm no longer an American. And it seemed to me like I was an American when I was in the Army, but, since I got reported, you're no longer an American. So it's like I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this for my reporter veterans, for my kid. And it just, I'm doing it for myself because I'm glad I never got to that point. But I'm not going to lie, it went through my head. I mean, the suicide ratio of people in the armed forces I think it's 22 a day, if I'm not mistaken. And it's that high. It's that high for a reason. A lot of veterans, man, we're not perfect. We go through a lot of stuff. I don't want to come across as saying that I'm a victim or I'm perfect. should we veterans? If you've been if you've been in the armed forces, if you've been in the army or Marines or whatever, we go through a lot of stuff. We're not perfect. We know that. But I believe we deserve a second chance, like everyone else. And it seems to me, if you're not famous, if you're not reaching famous, that second chance might never come around. If you're rich and famous, you might get that second chance in America. But if you're from the lowest of the lowest, you're not getting that second chance. And I think that Puerto Rico should have that second chance. It's we're human. It's inhumane for us to get deported like that. So a country we don't even know, just because we were born in. There's people that I know that came here when they were one day old. They got deported. They were in the army. And they're not considered an American because they weren't born here. So, I don't know what else to say. It's just that,
Thank you very much.
Glad you helped me out through this whole process now. And I feel much better.
I'm glad we got a chance to meet. A lot of the reason why people come to us or talk to us is a lot of it is word of mouth. We do a lot of self-reports. We try to reach out. I believe that we're facilitators. We might not be the lawyers that do the cases, that fight the cases, that know the arguments to get our deported veterans back or to get our non-citizen veterans their status here. But we try to connect them to resources. That's more importantly what we do, and we try to be that part that says that you're not alone. That, like we touched on, the fact that we lose so many service members and so many veterans to suicide. Too many for me. And you're right, veterans are not perfect. Anybody, we're human. That's the thing, is like everybody's human. But what do you think? What would you tell anybody that's been living in fear or been living in the shadows like you have for the past, so many years? What would you tell them to come out and talk to us and tell their story? What would you tell them?
I would tell them to come out and share the story with the world. At first, you're gonna be scared. You're gonna be afraid that someone might know who you are. You might have second thoughts of doing the interview or not, or telling anyone what you're going through. But I think I would advise a deported veteran, anyone who's listening to me, to tell your story, because I'm sure there's a big number of deported veterans around the world. I don't think the government has an actual number how many deported veterans are around the world, but I'm sure it's a lot of us out there, and most of us don't know that there's help. I came to you by accident. So I would advise every deported veteran to come out and share the story. Let's put this out there. Let's do what's right. Let's do what is fair. It's only fair for me to stay in this country and live in this country if I was willing to die for this country. It's only fair. It's not fair for me to come back when I'm dead. Just to come back and bury me somewhere, that's not fair at all. If I can keep my part of the deal, they can keep their part of the deal. And the veterans should come out. And I'm sure it's going to be a big number. If we keep coming out, you can't sweep this under the rug anymore. I think a lot of people will acknowledge that as a problem, and a lot of people will agree with us. No American soldiers should get deported. No American soldiers should get deported, period. And, let's come on and share our stories. Let's help ourselves. And, I appreciate what you're doing for me and what you're doing for other soldiers. But just like you told me earlier, you can't tell the story for me. I have to tell the story for myself. And I know there's a lot of things that I didn't say to protect myself because the story is worse than what it sounds. But my experience, I only thought at first that most deported soldiers were Mexicans, but then later I found out that there was a lot of deported soldiers from Honduras, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Jamaica, the Caribbean, people from Canada, Africa. Even I met a guy who got deported to England. So I know the number is big. I know there's a lot of us that got deported. So let's put this story out there. And, God willing, everything is going to turn out, to the way we want it, hopefully, in the future.
I want to thank you very much for taking the time to sit down with me and tell your story. I know it wasn't the easiest thing to do for you. I know this is not the first time, and I hope this is not the last time that you tell your story. We definitely need your story to be heard from everywhere in order to get that support. Um, so I want to say once again, thank you very much for taking the time. If you guys want to know more, if you guys want to help him out, if you know anybody that's willing to look at his case, we do a lot of, like I said, we do a lot of referral services for our non-citizen veterans and those that have been deported. Hopefully, we can collaborate with other organizations that are willing to help this veteran out. Because, like you said, he served our country, deserves to be here. All his family is here. Do not want to have him separated. Do not want to have him deported. And like I started at the very end of this interview, for his safety, because of his situation, we are not saying any details and we're not telling you guys who he is. But if you haven't been told, thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you, Dee. I appreciate you. And I'm just very grateful. And I hope, that there's help for us. We just can't stay in the shadows any longer. It kills you every day. Every day it kills you slowly. And, there's nothing much I can say that. Thank you to everyone that's listening. Family members, I know there's a lot of family members that are supporting me, will support me, have supported me in the past. Without them, I'm nothing. Without family, I'm nothing. And also to my fellow soldiers that I serve with, I know a lot of them still, stay in contact with me, and they support me, and they help me, and they understand exactly what I'm going through, and they don't see me as an illegal alien. They just see me as another American soldier that served next to them. And I'm grateful for all that. I'm grateful to you and all the audience out there that are willing to help us out. Thank you. And God bless America. God bless everyone that is willing to help us out. And it just, I'm very grateful. I don't know. I don't have the exact words to say, but thank you. Gracias por todo.
I'll be talking to you soon. Take care of yourself. Call me if you need me, okay?
Okay, thank you, Dee.
You heard it from him. You heard his whole story. The best way to support us at Repatriate Our Patriots, please donations. That's the only reason we survive. That's the reason we're still here. We're here to help our fellow veterans. If you know of anybody that hasn't identified themselves as a non-citizen veteran or somebody that's deported, please. It's very important that we find out who they are, what they are, where they are, and what they need. That's one very important thing to talk about. And I'm glad I got to meet this veteran. I'm glad he got to say his story. And if you want to sit here and tell us your story, we'll be more than happy to hear. We'll be more than happy to air it. We'll be more than happy to get you in contact with other organizations that are willing to listen to your story. With that being said, thank you guys for sitting here, for taking the time to watch this video. Any more questions, any comments, any way that guys want to contact us, please. ROP at repatriate.org is our email or our phone number. Please look at our website. That's probably one of the best ways to contact us. With that being said, have a great day.